to me and they say, Joe, you know, I've worked shitty jobs in the past. Simply don't know if I have enough stories in these jobs to talk about in an interview. When I was getting hired, hardly used any stories from the firefighting world to get me job offers. Gotten hired off breakup stories, workplace conflict stories when I worked at a club, workplace harassment stories from the same club. Don't give a shit about an amazing, cool story. They care about how you reacted in these types of situations. What's up, Gucci gang? What's good? What's good? What's good? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about, can anybody guess what we're talking about today? Well, I forgot, so I'm going to go look at my phone here. The shitty jobs I used to have before firefighting. My God. I always say that interviews get job offers, but what gets interviews? That's all the work experience before you walk into an interview room ever. And some people would say, well, Joe, this isn't true. They look at the bigger picture of who you are as a person and everything in general. Yes, in the interview, I agree. But you're telling me if there's somebody who had amazing work experience, say they were a career firefighter trying to switch departments now. So they have career firefighter on there. They have work experience program. They have a paramedic because they were a paramedic before any of this. You're telling me that person wouldn't get pulled in for an interview? Fuck off. I've never seen someone get hired just because they had a huge list of courses or like 30,000 volunteer experiences. That's never been the missing piece that people say, oh, you know what? He has this volunteer experience. Oh, we have to take him now. But I have seen them take candidates that they probably weren't going to take, but they had incredible work experience. Oh, real quick, if you guys end up liking this video, like and subscribe. People also come to me and they say, Joe, you know, I've worked shitty jobs in the past, so many shitty jobs in the past, and I simply don't know if I have enough stories in these jobs, in my life experience, to talk about in an interview. And I tell them this, when I was getting hired, I hardly used any stories from the firefighting world to get me job offers. I think I probably would keep in maybe one or two, and only because they were very relevant to whatever question I was answering. I'm pretty sure I've gotten hired off breakup stories, workplace conflict stories when I worked at a club, workplace harassment stories from the same club, and multiple stories when I had jobs from college when I was working at Shoppers Drug Mart. If you're in the States, like a CVS kind of thing. And that was more than enough to get me hired because these departments don't give a shit about an amazing, cool story that you can provide to them. They care about how you reacted in these types of situations that show your character and that prove to them how you're going to react again in the future. So it doesn't matter where your story comes from as long as your character is solid and you're handling these situations like a fucking boss, you're good. It doesn't matter if your story's from a pizza delivery guy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can get that job over the 10-year volunteer dude because he doesn't know how to answer properly. He doesn't know how to leverage his stories properly. You can get hired over that guy with pizza fucking delivery, Pizza Hut dude. Will you get pulled in for an interview just with Pizza Hut? No. But if you had other stuff on the resume and you told stories about that, you definitely could get hired. Do not sell yourself short. You just gotta know how to tell the stories. So, with that ridiculously long intro, I am now gonna talk about the shitty jobs I had before I ever walked into any firefighter job interview room. First job. I mean, if I take you guys really far back, my first job ever was in high school. I think I was 13 and I wasn't even supposed to really be working. I was at a movie theater, a local movie theater in my area. And I remember when I was there, people, because I look so young, people were like, oh my God, how old are you? How old? They thought I was like a little kid. And frankly, you're 13. You are a little kid at that age. But it threw a lot of people in a loop because they didn't know what they were looking at when they saw me. I don't remember how long I worked there, maybe about a year or so, 2 years. After that, when I was still in high school, I worked at HMV. If you guys know what that is, I'm a millennial, so I worked at HMV, which was a music store. Like they sold CDs, yeah, like back in the day, CDs. Maybe they even sold cassettes. I don't remember. But yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to think of what the equivalent is. Gen Zs, you know where you buy records because they're like super cool? That type of store. After that, I'm pretty sure I worked in a kitchen somewhere doing dishes. Not too long, in the local mall that I worked at. After that, it was that job, that Shoppers Drug Mart, that CVS job that I worked at. If you've seen Drake, his video started from the bottom. He's working at some store in that video, and that's a Shoppers Drug Mart. So there, I pretty much stocked shelves. I worked at the photo lab. I worked in the post office for a little bit. I worked my way up to be a little bit higher up in the photo lab, departments, manager, some whatever, like booking schedules for people, like more like a supervisor there. I mentioned this one because I actually did use this on my job, on my resume early on when I was applying for jobs, because I was at this job for just so long and many different locations as well. So it was relevant and I had a good reference from there. And you definitely want to have jobs that you can provide references for. Don't just put on jobs, old jobs that you can't provide proof that you work there if they were to call for a reference. After this, I worked at Humber. Actually, no, simultaneously, I worked at Humber College when I was going there for pre-service firefighting. In their, it was called HSF, their Humber Student Federation. So I was part of the events team, I think it was. And we would come up with different events to host on lunchtime at school, during the lunch breaks. If there was any sort of like, it wasn't like a semi-formal, like we're in college, right? But it was like, there was like a gala or something, many different things. Anything for the students that would be a fun event, we would go and we'd plan it. And there was a ton of things that we did, really cool job. Some of the people there that I worked with are still friends till this day. After this, I went and I worked, I think it was in the summer after this, I worked for Sick Kids Hospital. Now, if you know what Sick Kids Hospital is, it's pretty well known around the world. I worked as a canvasser. So I would go around different places in Toronto and we'd have like our little, sometimes we'd have a booth or sometimes we'd just be standing there. And when people would walk by malls or just outside, we'd say, hey, so we're canvassing for Sick Kids Hospital if you'd like to donate. And people would donate, I think it was called the Miracle Club, if I'm not mistaken, and they could donate from like $10 to $30 for every month for the year. And it was a really cool job, being outside all summer, getting to meet new people. The crowd and the crew was really cool. Still, some of those people, friends till this day. And after this, I still had Shoppers simultaneously, and I remember, I think it was the next summer, I went and I worked at a club downtown Toronto that it was like an outside club, and then it eventually turns into a inside club as well that they still have going on now. And that was really, really cool. I think I started there when I was like 24 or 25. And yeah, like it definitely fell into the group of like the quote unquote shitty job, because I was a busser there. I started off as a busser. Here's how I went. I was a busser early on, and then I worked my way up from a busser to be what's called a cabana boy, something. So it's the same thing. It's a glorified busser. All I did is I wore a different color shirt, and instead of just cleaning up all the trash on the side of the venue, I cleaned up the trash following a bottle service girl. So whatever she had, whatever she was bringing to the tables, and whatever mess they made, I would just clean up that specific tables section. Same thing. And some people at the job would like be like, oh, I go, you're a cabana boy now, you're higher up than the bussers. Nah, man, I never treated any of those bussers like shit, even though people said, yo, you have the ability to do that, because I was a fucking busser, bro. So don't come at me and be like, yo, treat the lower guys like shit now. Fuck that shit, bro. And I'm so thankful that I was in that position to start off with, so I never was like that and had that mentality of treating the guys below me like shit. Fuck that. After this, the venue, like I said, opened up inside. They had a separate venue right beside, like attached to it, and same thing there. It was like a busser or whatever. Did that for a few years, and during that time I was actually going to pre-service firefighting at Humber, and I was kind of like, okay, like I need to gear my work experience, like you guys are trying to do right now, towards firefighting, and the past jobs really weren't. So I said, what can I do that would be more in line with firefighting? And the quickest and easiest way to do it was to look at the company that I was already at, and I said, is there a way that anything here is related to firefighting? And there was a department there called EMS. EMS crew would respond to any sort of emergencies within the venue. And a lot of people say to me, why did the venue need EMS? This venue was not like a little in the basement, kind of lost and found old school Toronto bar club. This was like a legitimate, huge, large venue, like Vegas size venue, and there would be shit going down every night. Like I've seen crazy shit there. I've seen drug overdoses. I've seen people get, like, I've seen insane fights. I've seen like little, maybe 110-pound girls drink like a liter of vodka, fall down the stairs, crack their head open. I've seen one guy, I guess he was mad at his girlfriend. I don't know what happened. He grabbed a stanchion off the ground. Like a stanchion is what you hold. I'll put a picture here, but it's a stanchion. So it holds like the velvet ropes. And he took the rope off and he took just one of the stanchions, lifted it off the ground and threw it at his girlfriend's face, if it was his girlfriend. And I watched her head just fly back and blood pop out of her face. So there was never a dull moment. I responded to shootings there. I responded to stabbings there as well. Crazy, crazy, crazy diverse calls, all in one, like, I was gonna say little venue, but it's quite big, but still, for what it is, from one little venue. It was absolutely insane. I didn't mention, but before this, in the in-between, I also had a job working at Purelator. So if you're not from Canada, it's, yeah, essentially like a Canada Post, UPS kind of thing, delivery service. And I worked there, and the reason I worked there is because, like I said, I was trying to change my work experience from just part-time jobs to more fire-related. And the fire-related in that job would be driving a truck, so like a DZ vehicle. Now, I didn't start off driving a DZ vehicle there. I started off just driving, it was just a regular G vehicle. And from the get-go, I let them know, like right away, I'm like, hey guys, so like I'm here for this purpose, for firefighting. I'm trying to get, behind a DZ vehicle so I can put that on the resume. And they were super cool about it. They were like super, super chill. They're like, all right, it's cool, man. And they were happy that someone came in with a DZ license. They were surprised. So when they knew that, they eventually said, okay, like let's give him some time and eventually we'll let him drive DZ. And I did. So it was a good job to get that experience behind the wheel. And I had that on the resume for the longest time back like before COVID, but eventually I took it off because other jobs replaced it. And when I was in this position, this was like 2020, going to 2021, and we all know COVID happened then. So the issue here is I was in a good position to get interviews, but no one was really giving out interviews. So COVID went on, and eventually midway through 2021, I did get an interview with Toronto, which I didn't end up landing. A second week interview, I can tell that no one was really interested in listening to what I had to say. I was kind of just there to be a number to check off on their box. Oh, okay, we have another candidate here. We're not going to take him, but fuck, we have to tell my boss above me that we have X amount of candidates, and I blew the interview and I didn't prepare. Like I was fucking terrible at any sort of interview skills. I didn't know what the fuck I was saying. I thought I did. I thought I had some sort of a clue, but when you walk into these firefighter interviews, it's like you really get humbled very quickly, and you see instantly how well you prepared, and I did not prepare well. So that could be part of it as well as to why I didn't get that job. After that, it was another humbling experience on the journey to getting hired, because I said to myself, well, I mean, I have this experience or that experience, but it's kind of getting me a little bit of attention here, but it's ultimately, not really landing me enough attention. And if I don't have enough shots, then I don't have enough opportunities to land a job offer. So what do I do? So at that point is when I joined the work experience program over in Creston, BC. It was a risk. It was something that I was scared to do. It was something that, I had to sacrifice my time. I thought I'd have to sacrifice money. Really, there's not that big of a sacrifice with money. I would have to sacrifice being around my friends and family at home, and I didn't know how long I was going to be there. So it was a sacrifice, but after I put that on the resume, it changed everything. I was getting calls left, right, and center from all different departments in the GTA, even outside of the GTA. Pretty much everyone that I was applying to was pushing me forward to some sort of a next round of like a written test, a first round interview, second round interview, whatever it was. There was attention being drawn my way. It's kind of like if there's like some girl, she's out of shape and no guys are looking at her, and I'm walking around like that for 5 years. Then I go to the gym, eat healthy, I get all good looking, and now all guys are like, hey, yo, you want to go on a date with me? You want to go on a date? It's kind of like that. That's kind of what happened. And people go in circles trying to figure out why they can't get attention with these fire departments, and really the main thing here is the work experience. Like I said before, when I was interviewing, I didn't draw back on all of these different these fire related situations. One or two maybe I did, but in general, I was going back to when I was working at that nightclub. I used so many experiences from when I worked at Shoppers Drug Mart. And I have tons of people that I work with now that are telling me, yeah, I want to use this story from firefighting. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. And it goes to show and it goes to tell me that if you don't have the best work experience and you think when you're going into an interview, you just can't blow them away with your answers, with your character, with who you are, how you handled the situation, because you don't have some big fire, 10 years volunteer experience. I'm going to have to talk about when I was pizza delivery. I'm going to have to talk about when I worked at Walmart. They're cool with that. They don't care. They don't care, because in these interviews, they understand they could teach anybody how to be a firefighter, but they can't teach you how to be a good person. They can't teach you how to do the right thing. They can't teach you when you're faced with adversity in real life, how to go down the proper path and how to handle it like an adult. They can't teach, your mom and dad teach you that. You teach yourself that through the adversity of life and the however many times you go around this world, bro. You teach yourself that. Other people teach you that. The resources, the internet, YouTube, good, healthy, positive social media, healthy books, that teaches you that. So they know they can't teach you that. So don't worry if you worked at the mall. Don't worry if you worked at Purelator or if you worked at a nightclub. You can still tell stories from that, bro. But if you are trying to get attention from fire departments, you need to step it up a level from these shitty jobs. And I'll admit, these jobs were the best. They have the best people in the world, because we all know working the shittiest jobs give you the best friends. I can't tell you one shitty job or any good job that I've had that I don't have lifelong friends, at least one or two from each era. And it's, I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world, because those jobs made me who I am today. I have great stories to tell from them, and they help to build my character and friendships that are lifelong and long lasting. But like I said, if you want to step it up a level, I definitely think you should look into a job that is not just fire related, not just like an electrician or a plumber or a trade, because that's not related enough in my opinion. Yeah, that's a good additional. That's very good, but you want to have the difference maker. You don't want to be going in taking a chance on this part of your life of something that you're saying, I'm gonna 100%, I have to get this job. I quit my last job. I'm putting all my eggs in this basket. Why the fuck would you take a chance with a job that might get you hired, electrician, plumber, whatever? No, fuck that. Become a volunteer firefighter, and if you can't do that because you don't live near one, move closer to one. I got guys doing that right now, because they're fucking killers and they want this job. Or if you can't do that, apply to a work experience program. Anyone can apply. You can get on a plane. You can fly over there. You can be there for 6 months. Come back home with a job, wherever the fuck you want. So step it up, sacrifice it, do what you gotta do, and embrace those shitty jobs that you had before, because they will be amazing when it comes to your interview. I promise you that. If you need any extra help when it comes to interviews, go on my IG, Joe Motivational, DM me the word 120 interview, and I'll see if I can help you. Thank you for watching this video. God bless. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day, everybody. Woo!